so before we get right into the review, I just want to establish this. I love Deadpool. Okay, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing from start to finish. Well, not absolutely amazing, but I thought it was really great. Um, I thought it was well acted, well written, and what I want to focus on primarily here, real quick, is that it was well directed. I thought for Tim Miller's directorial debut, I mean, sure, he's probably done other smaller stuff, but for like his first like big movie, it was definitely a great way to start off his career, or his film career. I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a fine job, and the writers wrote the movie perfectly. But what I want to focus on is that there are two people. If there's anybody besides Tim Miller, there are two people that not only should write in what I want for them to do is write a Deadpool movie, but also direct a Deadpool movie. There's two people in particular. Okay, I want you to take a very, very, very long guess.
These guys, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Okay, these are the perfect candidates for a Deadpool movie. I don't see why they would not be the perfect candidates for a Deadpool movie. They basically made the Deadpool movie like 4 years ago when it was called 21 Jump Street. Okay, it breaks fourth wall, makes fun of all the problems with the movie itself. They're the perfect people. They can't direct, at least get them to write it.
This movie's best quality, and the thing that has advantage over every single other comic book movie that came before it, is that it can make fun of every single other comic book movie that came before it, okay? From all the continuity errors, to even the directors who made the movie, to even the actors who starred in those movies. I really don't think it has any ground that it doesn't touch. It just makes fun of every last thing, under the sun, which is pretty, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's very timely because we've had so many comic book movies, like I said, that have come before this, and we have so many more that are coming up that it only makes sense for this movie to be around so that, hey, we don't take this stuff, too seriously. Like, these movies are not perfect. Yeah, they may be entertaining and they may entertain us, but it's important to note that they're stupid, stupid movies, okay? No movie is perfect in these comic book movies, even though they are coming out in an abundance now. Just, try not to take it too seriously, okay? Because they still do have a lot of problems. Now, while this is one of the movie's best qualities it has going for it, it's also one of the things that weighs it down in some sections. Now, like I said, there have been many comic book movies that have come out before this, and Deadpool, makes fun of and riffs on a lot of the cliches that we've seen before them, like a generic villain or a generic plot or just genericness. That's even a word. Like, for example, the villain in the movie played by Ed Skrein is kind of your basic average run-of-the-mill villain, just kind of a guy experimenting illegally on people just for the sake of, well, experimenting illegally on people. It happens. My problem with this is that he really doesn't have any motivation to do so, and I'm not really sure if the character in the comic books did, but, if he did in the comic books, that doesn't really make the movie any better because that was in the comics, wasn't in the movie. And actually, it makes it even worse that it wasn't in the movie because if it was in the comics, that's just called lazy writing. Now, that's not to say that I didn't find this villain sinister, and that doesn't mean that I didn't understand the motives that, Deadpool had in the movie of, wanting revenge and wanting to kill him and all that stuff. Okay? Because he was sinister. And I actually found that really surprising because Ed Skrein is an actor that I'm not really all that fond of, and I don't really know all that much about. The only movie that I've seen Ed Skrein in, if I'm even saying his last name right, is Transporter Refueled. And if you've seen Transporter Refueled, you've either laughed your ass off at it when you weren't supposed to, or fucking killed yourself by the time the credits rolled. But surprisingly, I actually really liked him in this movie. I thought he was really, really sinister and actually a pretty decent villain. Not a great villain and not really an all too memorable one, but still a decent villain. He gets his job done in it. In fact, I can actually pinpoint where I really started to get invested in this movie, and that's when we got to the workshop, when his character showed up again and all the sinister shit that he was doing to Wade Wilson in the movie. And I refer to him as an asshole, not to use any lesser words, but because Wade Wilson is an asshole, okay? And all the sinister shit that he does, that, Ajax does to him, it actually made me feel bad for Deadpool. And that's not an easy thing to do, to make me feel bad for Deadpool. I don't know, it's just something about taking someone against their will without anybody else knowing, and not torturing them to death. Torturing them, but not torturing them to death. Just torturing them until they lose any sense of who they were. That scares the shit out of me. If you were to torture me, I would just want you to torture me until I fucking die, okay? Until you just kill me, okay? If you're gonna torture me, just fucking kill me. But I find it so especially just unsettling and skin-crawlingly just scary that, no, I'm not gonna torture you until you die. I'm gonna torture you until you lose any and all personality that you originally had, until you're just a bleeding, carcass and body that just has no idea of what it once was. They make a joke in the movie of, Ajax just says, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna sew your mouth shut. And yeah, it's a, cute little, throwback to, Origins. But that actually, I should have been laughing at that part as everyone else in the theater was, but that was the one part that made me go, that's fucked up. Like, this is the guy who can, get through any situation just because of his mouth. Get your mind out of the gutter. But they're going to take that one thing that he has away from him. Pretty much the only thing that he now is, that he now owns, that he now has. And they're just going to completely do away with it. And they're just going to torture him until they make him into something that he wasn't. That fucking just scares the crap out of me. It's just psychologically just unnerving. And it just, anytime I see something like that in a movie, TV show, or comic, or whatever, it always just is unsettling down my fucking core. And it just bothers the hell out of me. And that's really where that's mainly why I just thought of this villain as, holy shit, this guy is really sinister. I mean, it's not to say that his, he doesn't really have any motives for what he's doing, but it doesn't make it any less sinister. I've probably said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I don't know if it's just me or if maybe some other people out there, but I found that most of the stuff that I liked in Deadpool was eerily and strikingly similar to a lot of stuff that I liked in Guardians of the Galaxy. And that is by no means a slam against Deadpool. I'm not saying that Deadpool ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy or anything. But it is worth mentioning. I mean, think about it. You have two main characters who are both smart alecky characters, really don't take anything seriously, and they're followed by and backed up by a soundtrack of a bunch of different mixes of great music. And also, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a movie that I just walked out of with the biggest goddamn grin on my face possible. It is just that entertaining. Okay, it's just one of those movies that I see myself where whenever I'm in a bad mood or whenever I'm just not feeling good, I'll see myself putting this movie on and being extremely happy afterwards. Just being in an extremely, not great mood, but a better mood than I was before. It just makes me that, much happy. It just brings so much childlike wonder to me. And who knew? It would have taken a couple bullets, a couple katanas, and some titties here and there. Titties make everything better. And, again, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie is fucking hysterical, both in the jokes it makes fun of towards comic book movies in general, and also the jokes that involve Deadpool. I mean, it's one of those movies where I can't narrow down my favorite joke, but there is one where I thought it just summed up Deadpool for me, in general. In the very beginning of the movie, one of the very first shots in the movie, Deadpool is sitting in the back of the taxi, and there's these brochures in the back of the seat, and he just starts going through them, and he picks up this one that says, Haunted Segway Tours, or something ridiculous like that. Doesn't say anything about it. It's never referred to again in the movie. He just takes it, folds it, and he just puts it in his pocket for later use that, again, like I said, it's never referred to again. That scene right there just didn't need a single line of dialogue, didn't need any explanation of who the character is. It just explained perfectly in a visual format, as a film should do, Deadpool's attitude and just the kind of person that he is. But if you really had to, point a gun at my head and make me choose, I think my absolute favorite joke, and this is where he goes to the X-Mansion and he just goes, yeah, it's a big place, it's a really nice place, just kind of weird, I only see you two walking around. It's, kind of like the studio couldn't afford any more X-Men. It was the joke that it was so fucking obvious, though. Like, Colossus is sitting in the beginning of the movie, sitting at the kitchen counter eating cereal, and there's just nobody around. There's not a single person around or walking around. It looks dead empty. I don't even think they filmed in the same mansion. I think they just filmed in the Fox Studios kitchen. Yeah, it was the joke I was thinking of in my head, and I was so happy that they said it. You know, probably one of my favorite jokes, but that's like really pushing it because there's just so many in here that either you don't, notice the first time over, or there's just another one that you're like, oh no, that joke was even better. Oh, that joke was even better. Or I really don't need to say anything specifically about Ryan Reynolds other than that this guy is Deadpool. Okay, there have only been a few certain actors who I saw as that comic book character, and I just went, no, that's not an actor in the costume. That's the fucking character right from the comics. I saw it with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Michael Keaton as Batman, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and I now see it with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Also, this movie was released on Valentine's Day, which, a lot of people may just view that as, oh, isn't it cheeky and edgy and ironic that we're releasing this super hard R movie on Valentine's Day weekend? Aren't we, super cheeky and edgy? But it actually works out pretty well in the movie's favor because it's actually pretty romantic. Referring back to the soundtrack and the music that's used in the movie, it's a lot of romantic music. Like I said before, Wham, Careless Whisper, Chicago's You're the Inspiration, Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton. These are all romantic songs that are used for this movie. The movie actually has a romantic plot, so you can actually see this movie like with a girlfriend, and I wouldn't even be shocked if I saw people watching this movie every single year around Valentine's Day. It actually works out perfectly as a Valentine's Day movie. It seems as if like the guys behind the movie were like, okay, we're gonna release on Valentine's Day. Let's actually have a reason to release on Valentine's Day other than, oh hey, isn't this weird that we're releasing this movie on Valentine's Day? I did that, but they actually worked it in pretty well. But overall, Deadpool, I thought, very great. Great, it was amazing from start to finish. Has a lot of problems with it. Just because it points out its flaws does not mean it's void of flaws. It has some flaws, but it's still really good. It's still a surprising movie. And I can't wait for the sequel. I only hope that the sequel knows what it's gonna be. Like, this movie is making fun of comic book movies. I think they should make fun of, in the next movie, some, like sequels. Like I refer to 21, 22 Jump Street. These should be the 21 and 22 Jump Street movies for comic book movies. These should just be making fun of the comic book movies, the sequels and all that stuff. Can't wait for Cable either. Although they joke in the movie Keira Knightley as Cable. I actually want to see that. I mean, Cable, it's such an easy way to do it too. Cable's a time traveling character. You can have, like a time displacement bullshit going on, and this alternate future, it's Keira Knightley as Cable. So easy to do it. I mean, she's not doing anything at all anymore. So it's like she was doing anything to begin with, right? But yeah, she's not doing anything anymore, so it would be totally easy just to get her and just to have her be in this movie just for like a real quick second. But no, in all honesty, Deadpool was a surprise for me from start to finish. If you're a fan of the character, you're gonna love it. If you're a fan of the character, I don't understand how you probably already saw it, so not shocked if you have. For me, it was just a lot of fun. I never thought I would have loved this movie. I was expecting to be somewhat entertained by it, but I never expected to love it and just mark it as not my favorite Marvel movie, but one of the all-time, I think, best Marvel movies to date. Maybe in the top 5, undeniably. Arguably top 3. I don't even know. But it's such a funny movie. Definitely check it out. And no, I'm not going to rate this movie because that is a really stupid idea. Really stupid.